Now.
On 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app.
O'Connor and Company.
It's 7:06. It's halftime here on O'Connor and Company. 2 hours behind us, 2 hours ahead of us. If you missed the first 2 hours, if you're just waking up, if you're just getting on the road, well, grab our podcast, download it. You missed quite a bit. I promise you want to hear the words of political wisdom emanating from the great Mercedes Schlapp.
Wow. Thank you. I try hard.
I've decided
to get the best political wisdom I can.
I need to be nice to you because this is your big stressful month with CPAC coming up, and I know how frazzled you get. So you need some kind words. Considering
frazzled, I feel very focused. We have a lot of exciting announcements coming up, and it's February 21st to the 24th, CPAC. So come join us.
And I'm lucky enough to be emceeing the Reagan dinner on Friday, and we're going to have not only Bishop Strickland but also Vivek Ramaswamy. Going to be at
let me tell you,
dinner.
it's going to be amazing speakers. We just announced J.D. Vance is coming as well, and we've got two major announcements coming up very, very soon. That
really clever news clever move for you though, you and Matt, because you've been like, how do we clean up Larry's act? How do we get him to stop with the sort of PG-13 kind of jokes? And so you book a bishop to be there that night.
Well, he's as controversial as you, Larry. It'll be.
I guess that's
fine.
True. I guess we could. But I can't hear his confession. He can hear mine after the dinner.
Oh, you're going to have so much fun with your monologue there. Oh, I could just hear it now.
Joining us right now is State Senator of Virginia John McGuire. He's also, by the way, running for election to represent Virginia's 5th Congressional District in D.C., but he's got some business to take care of in Richmond right now, and he's going to tell us about it. John McGuire, thanks for joining us, sir.
Hey, good morning, Larry and Mercedes. Thanks for having me on your show. It's really tough having the minority in the Senate and the House, but we're giving it all we have. Well,
listen, you're a retired Navy SEAL, so you know something about going up against the tough odds and getting the job done. So I appreciate you for your service, and also specifically about trying to champion Sage's Law. There's a vote today, and can you? Because for the life of me, everyone says, "Oh, Republicans and Democrats should be able to get together." This law merely says that parents should know if their child is in crisis. It says that teachers and administrators at a government-funded school should not keep secrets with a minor from their parents. That seems so basic and fundamental, Senator. But why can't we get together on this one?
I tell you, it's upside down, inside out. So I presented this bill last year when I was in the House of Delegates, and I had 10 Democrats say something to the effect of parents don't have their kids' best interest. And if you think about communism or Marxism, they believe that the children belong to the state.
Yeah.
And so I made a comment last year and this year in the subcommittee. I think it was last week I made a comment that I don't care what government program or entity or politician you introduce, no one will ever love a child more than a parent. And, one of the things that Governor Youngkin won the governorship on, you remember the debate on parental rights.
Mm-hmm.
It is a fundamental right that parents should have a say in how their children are educated. And what happened in Appomattox County, not Loudoun County, but Appomattox County, which is a very red area, a young girl decided she was a boy. She told a teacher. The teacher did not tell the parents. They gave her blogs and websites to go to, and she said that you can use a boys' bathroom if you want to. Again, didn't tell the parents. And there were jokes from some of the boys that, if you go in the boys' bathroom, we're going to assault you. So, of course, she went into the boys' bathroom, got assaulted, ended up running away from home, got human trafficked through some of those websites, and ended up in Texas. And the FBI actually said at one point to the mother, "You're never going to see your child again." But Mama Bear got on the internet and fought and got her little girl home, and now she's wearing dresses and saying that, I was just lonely and looking to fit in. So, but our children should be number one. I mean, that's like basic 101. And I'm telling you, it's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Well, in the bill, it says that any counseling of a minor at school regarding gender dysphoria should involve parental participation to the extent requested by the parent. I mean, these seem like very common sense applications of what should be happening with parents being involved in their child's life here. Let me ask you, with the Democrats obviously being in charge of both the House and the Senate, I mean, are you finding this bill to have bipartisanship support, or do you think it's just going to struggle to get it passed?
Zero. Zero. So what happened
And
is...
what's their reasoning, though, Senator?
Well, again, it's parents don't have their kids' best interest. And, this gender dysphoria, the gender is a word created by the Democrats. It's really sexist. There are two sexes, male and female, and they want us to go along with these words. We all know, because we're all in the fight, is they create the new words and new definitions of current words. There are two sexes, and if your child thinks they're a different sex, they're going to play along with it. And you've probably seen, not just in Virginia, but across the country, they have things in classrooms where kids have litter boxes and identify as cats.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
So they're encouraging, they're encouraging mental illness, and it's bizarre.
Senator, I got two questions for you. The first is, what would your Democrat friends say? And this is a partisan thing. I wish it weren't. But if you said to a Democrat, okay, do you think a parent has a right to know if their child missed school today without permission? Do you think a parent has a right to know if their child is taking drugs in school? Do you think a parent has a right to know if their child is got into a fight in school? Do you think a parent has a right to know what their child's grades are? If a child went to a principal or a teacher and said, please don't tell my parents what my grades are, would you honor that request? Why are all of those things just laughable and ridiculous, and yet this one thing, something so personal and so important as someone's sexuality, that's the one thing they think parents shouldn't know about?
It's nonsensical. Michelle Blair is actually the grandmother, but she's raising Sage.
Yeah.
And she's actually endorsed me for my congressional campaign, and she gave a heartfelt testimony about what she went through, and the school would not tell her what was going on with her child. And next thing you know, her child is being sex trafficked.
No, it's outrageous.
All the way up to Maryland,
Absolute
Texas.
outrage.
And in our testimony, kids at 11 years old, 12 years old can get puberty blockers. They can work on sex change, but they can't drive a car.
Yeah.
I mean, they're giving children decisions without letting parents know. And I think it's child abuse, and I think it's criminal. And this bill failed in the subcommittee on party line, but on the subcommittee, it's just a recommendation how it will go to the full committee today.
Okay.
So it is a party line vote today.
Well, we'll see what happens, and everyone should call their senator and member of the House of Delegates and tell them how they should vote. Real fast, though, Senator McGuire, and I know you're running for Congress, and I know you have the ear of a lot of Republicans in this state. We watched the election this last time around that sadly put you in the minority instead of the majority. Your colleagues who were running, they didn't mention this. I don't understand why every single person running as a Republican didn't tell their voters in their district that Democrats want to keep sexual secrets away from you and keep those secrets with with your child. They want to divide you and your child. If you give them the majority, that's what they're going to do. This should be a political issue. I'm sorry, I don't want it to be,
Amen.
Senator, but
Amen.
they've made it a political issue, so why don't Republicans run on this?
That's a really good question. It's to break down the nuclear family. That's what makes our country strong. They're destroying our Judeo-Christian values. They want to take basically they go after Christians and our values, which our country was founded in the church, and those Christian principles are under attack. But I'm a Navy SEAL. I know how to fight, and I know how to build a team. I know how to lead. I know how to win. I'm going to give it all I've got.
All right. What's the saying? The only tough day was...
The only easy day was yesterday.
Only easy day was yesterday. There it is. See? Man's a SEAL.
Good.
Knows these
I like
things.
it.
All right, sir. Thank you. Good luck on the vote today, and good luck with the campaign. Appreciate you joining us.
All right. God bless you. Thanks for having me on.
It's 7:15. WMAL traffic and weather every 10 minutes first on the 5s. Jamie Whitten.
WMAL.
Making sense of the news.
Live
From the Home Paramount Pest Control Studios.
Home Paramount, the leader in pest control since 1939.
News is brought to you by New Look Home Design.
Need a new roof? Honor, respect, and trust your home with Valor. Visit valorhome.com.
WMAL, making sense of social media because big tech can't be trusted. Download the WMAL app to stream us for free.
That Senator McGuire is really good on a lot of issues, including the border crisis, the fentanyl crisis, and also, they're trying to
The hound
make it.
dog?
Yeah, they're trying to set up a new permitting process for people who go hound hunting in Virginia. I mean, this is a practice that's older than Virginia itself. And I don't think people need to be the government doesn't need to start intruding into this sort of it's a pretty natural thing. It's like hound hunting. It's like you take your dogs out, your dogs do their thing, and you just let nature run its course.
The hound dogs are going to need voting IDs as well, because they might be voting as in the
They're
election.
the only ones who would need an ID to vote in the state.
It's insane.
Meanwhile, that's what Democrats are focusing on down in Richmond. Meanwhile, here in Washington, D.C., finally, the recall effort for Charles Allen is really gaining steam. Of course, Charles Allen, one of the members of the district council who has championed the anti-cop, anti-law and order, pro-criminal agenda of the city. And we're going to speak with the spokespeople for the Recall Charles Allen campaign coming up at 8:05. But we've got stories that show you exactly why this needs to happen and why, as I keep saying, we need to rescind home rule, because it's just a failed experiment. There's no actual stomach for leadership to clean up the mess that's been created over the years by one-party rule. D.C. now, this is a great achievement. Congratulations, Washington, D.C. New data now shows that the District of Columbia receives the most 911 calls on average each year than any other city in the country.
Larry,
that's not just interns in a Democrat's office
it's
calling
insane.
for help.
And I talk to Democrats all the time. They're like, "Oh, the crime statistics are down." I'm like, "Dude, in news where I go for Newsmax, it is you have to always be looking behind and seeing what's going on, because there is a sense that you don't feel safe in the city, and the carjackings are happening a block or two away from where you're at normally, and it's just so tragic. I mean, we just saw Mike Gill tragically die when one of these carjackers shot him in the head. Mike was just picking up his wife. I mean, it's really hit our community very hard, because the kids went to visitation in Gonzaga, and it's just been horrifying to watch this happen day in and day out, and there is no repercussion. They don't catch these people. They don't throw them into jail for an extended period of time. There's no toughness on the law. I mean, these are violent criminals, and many times they're young people as well involved in these carjackings. And now look at what we're dealing with. This is the result. It is a city that is crumbling right before our eyes.
Which we see, sadly, in every city that's run by Democrats in this country. The difference here is it's the capital of our nation. It is a federal district. It has been set aside by our founders because we, the people from all 50 states and territories, have the right to come and petition our government, or for that matter, like Mr. Gill, come and work for an administration. How is a president supposed to hire people to come and work for the executive branch of government, or how is a congressman or senator supposed to hire somebody to come from their home district and work in Washington, D.C., when it's taking their life into their own hands to do so?
Right.
And go ahead.
No, I just wanted to add, it's interesting because we're doing CPAC in the Gaylord in Maryland, and we've had people reach out and be like, I don't want to go into D.C., people from out of town. Yeah. And we're like, no. Well, you're in Maryland. It's a little better. That area is a little more contained than, in the middle of downtown D.C. Right. But it is a concern. And you're seeing, 100%. The arena that's most likely moving over to Virginia, which is a big deal. But then on top of that, we're talking about the cost of this D.C. crime crisis. Auto insurance rates risen 42% in D.C., only 26% in the rest of the country.
It's more than just the violence that you're going to have to deal with. It's also costing you a pretty penny. Last year, full coverage for a car in D.C., according to Bankrate, was $1,700. This year, the same car, same coverage, $2,400. That's more than just Bidenomics being a problem. That's specifically because of
crimeonomics being a problem. That's a Bowsernomics.
It's demonomics, and that's why Charles Allen is being recalled. And again, I want to tell you, we're going to speak with the spokespeople for the Recall Charles Allen campaign coming up at 8.
Now.
On 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app.
O'Connor and Company.
7:37. Good morning. It's O'Connor and Company. Thanks for tuning in here. I'm Larry O'Connor. She is Mercedes Schlapp. Mercedes, can you believe how fast this morning's going by?
It really has. I don't know what's going on. First of all, I think you're drinking an energy drink because you're so pumped up this morning. No, not that you normally are not, but
you give me energy, Mercedes.
Oh, yes, I give you plenty of
rise
energy.
To another level. 8:05. We're going to speak with the people who are planning the Recall Charles Allen campaign to try to bring some sanity to the district council in Washington, if possible. Also at 8:15, Sierra Fox 5 reporter, on a story we just touched on it. Just a Looney Tunes story about a homeless man who has cancer. A Good Samaritan raised $400,000 for him. Turns out he's a violent criminal. And then at 8:35, Stephanie Lundquist, Aurora mom out of Virginia, who's tracking a bill in Richmond that would make it harder for kids to participate in sports. So all that's coming up. But first, we got to turn to some pretty big news out of the presidential election for 2024. She wanted to be the first woman president in the United States of America, but now she is announcing that she will no longer, well, she's suspending her campaign. That's what they always say, right? We're just going to suspend the campaign. Of course, I'm talking about Marianne Williamson.
Oh, I thought you were talking about Jill Biden.
No.
Not Joe Biden. Jill
she
Biden.
Already is president.
She is president. No, you gotta give it to Marianne Williamson. She is going to have what she runs all the time. She doesn't hardly get any votes, but she feels so strongly that she has to be in this race, and she literally says that she's much to be grateful for. I mean, why does she run in the first place?
She
seriously
is.
Isn't she like a yoga person?
She seems like
worships the crystals.
Kind
I don't know.
spirit. Yes, she feels she
Kind
gets energies from the
spirit.
Can we just say she's Californian? Okay.
Okay.
She started
Let me remind
a video.
you were in California for quite some time.
No, I'm very familiar with the Marianne Williamsons of the world, I assure you. She started her video announcing on X that she would be suspending her campaign by saying, "I read a quote the other day that said that sunsets are proof that endings can be beautiful too." And so today, even though it's time to suspend my campaign for the presidency, I do want to see the beauty, and I want all of you who so incredibly supported me on this journey, as donors, as supporters, as teams, and as volunteers, to see the beauty too. So there you go. Marianne Williamson. It's kind of shocking. By the way, she's a little bit of a flake, and it's a little Looney Tunes, and she's, yes, you're right, a crystal guru. But let's just be clear. Joe Biden was afraid to debate her. Okay? So as wild and flaky and crazy as she is.
I have a feeling Joe Biden is afraid to debate himself. Like, I'm sure he gets up in the morning and is like, where am I? What am I doing? Am I with these old, these dead foreign ministers? It's like it just doesn't end for him. So Marianne is no threat because she is in touch with nature.
Yes, and her inner
chakra. In touch with nature. Yeah, and her chakra.
Meanwhile, the other woman who's running for president right now, Nikki Haley, fresh off of that humiliating loss in the Nevada primary to literally no one, she came in second place. First place in the Nevada primary was none of these candidates. That's who everybody voted for rather than vote for Nikki Haley. Anyway, another way to rephrase that is anybody but Nikki Haley actually won. She, though, has an explanation for this. Cut 13A, if you don't mind, Michael. 13A, she will explain exactly what happened in Nevada.
Does that situation in Nevada hurt a little bit?
No. I mean, Nevada, it's such a scam. They were supposed to have a primary. Trump rigged it so that the GOP chairman, who's been indicted, would go and create a caucus. We knew months ago that we weren't going to spend a day or a dollar in Nevada because it wasn't worth it. Mm-hmm. And so we didn't even count Nevada. That wasn't anything we were looking at. We knew that was rigged from the start.
This kind of dangerous anti-democracy rhetoric is going to tear apart our Constitution, this whole rigged election. By the way, listen, she's been saying this about the caucus that happens today in Nevada. I just want to explain one more time. There was a state primary where Democrats could vote, and clearly she was counting on Democrats coming out for her. And the Republican Party in Nevada said, well, we don't want Democrats and independents deciding the Republican nominee. We want Republicans to do that. So we're going to do a Republican caucus on Thursday. Nikki Haley has been saying that the caucus that happens today is so-called rigged. But she had never said that about the Tuesday primary. That's why she registered for it. That's why she had her name on the ballot. She actually wanted to win on Tuesday. So this is disingenuous, what she's saying.
It was the dumbest political strategy by her team. She should have gone in with the caucus, even if she would have. At least she's running against someone. You don't want to lose to none of the candidates. I mean, seriously, Larry. I mean, it's like the loser strategy like I've never seen. But she's so funny. She always like blames the next state. Well, Iowa, well, they don't really necessarily decide. It's like we're moving to New Hampshire. It's like she is critical of these states that she needs to get the support from. She talk about not getting a clue. She's not getting the clue that she needs to drop out. You're looking at these Super Tuesday polls. I mean, President Trump has massive leads in this area in the Super Tuesday states, and she's looking at South Carolina. She's going to bomb in South Carolina, but it's because she has the money to keep going, and she's praying that Donald Trump gets convicted. She's praying in the Democrat strategy.
That's right. Her entire strategy is the Democrat strategy. And by the way, all that money that she's making is Democrat money. And you're right. She's losing in all the polls in Super Tuesday. The only thing will help is a victory to sort of change the narrative. She has two chances for that victory. South Carolina, you're correct, where right now Trump is ahead by nearly 40 points. The other opportunity is today. The territory of the U.S. Virgin Islands is holding their caucus. It's winner take all. It may only be 9 delegates, but because it's winner take all, that could be the first time Nikki Haley says she beat Donald Trump. There's no polling here for the caucus. I'm down here. I'm reporting on it. I'll let you know what happens based on what I'm seeing.
Are you going to be reporting from the beach, or are you going to be actually?
No, I'm actually going to the polling place. You'd be surprised.
I actually so defensive.
I have not been to the beach this entire time I've been here.
You got a tan. I don't know.
Well, because it's been raining, but. But later today, Representative Luna of Florida will be here stumping for Trump and trying to get people at the polling place at the caucuses to vote for Donald Trump. We're going to talk to her, and we'll tell you exactly how if Trump beats her here. I mean, honestly, people are saying this is like the one chance she has because it's like a very small number of voters, and it is a little more of a centrist territory voting populace than maybe the rest of the country, and certainly Super Tuesday South, so she might have a chance.
She's pissing everybody off, Larry.
I don't think she's going to win.
Instead of like bringing the party together and then just saying, look, I'm going to support the president, and hopefully he won't get convicted, and but this of her sectioning herself off and isolating and really going against the MAGA voter, I think it's a dumb political strategy. It's time for her to drop out.
She's running like Joe Biden. She's dividing us. We have the latest in gender advocacy news. I'm an advocate for genders, by the way. I truly believe there should be men and women. Both. The two.
Good. I'm glad you haven't changed your position.
That's about as far as it goes, though. Irish dancing is, like river dance, Lord of the Dance, the whole sort of.
Yeah. I'm aware. A lot of Lucia's friends, they do.
It's a trend. Yeah, we know a young woman who is actually like a national champion out of the Annapolis area. She's been doing this since she was like 8 years old. She's now in her early 20s, and it's like a big deal, the Irish dancing thing, and it's a great sort of iconic cultural thing. It's American tap dancing actually has its roots in Irish dancing, like George M. Cohan and all of that jazz. Anyway. Right. The governing body that oversees Irish dance competitions around the world has now officially, we talked about this in December when Mary Margaret Olohan was reporting on it, and now it's official. Boys can now compete and win girls' competitions in worldwide Irish dancing competition. And by the way, they have a huge, huge advantage. If you've seen these performers, the
huge
legs,
advantage.
the muscular structure, it's
the dancing.
Amazing. Yes.
Yeah, look, I got to tell you, I think this is so infuriating for parents, for moms who they invest so much time, invest so much money in getting their daughters prepared for these competitions. And these boys have physical advantages more than these girls do in terms of being better, just stronger dancers. Yeah. I do have to say, though, I've got my daughter, Alyssa, who she dances competitively, and she does compete against the boys in like contemporary or lyrical. So it's in the dance world, it's already happening in the sense that the boys compete with the girls. It's going to be interesting to see how how Irish dancing is different. Does that make sense?
It does. I think that dancing is an athletic endeavor, and but you also, with lyrical dancing and modern dance and stuff, your athleticism is important, but also your grace and your,
Yes.
there's various things that are more feminine.
You're not such a graceful dancer. Like, I can't picture you in tights, like doing the Irish dance. That would be kind of, whoa. Maybe you should do that. That might be a good fundraiser, Larry.
I'm needing
raise money.
you to not try to picture me in tights. It's really important to me, in fact, that you don't even come close to picturing me in tights. Meanwhile, there's a student who's continuing his fight to wear a shirt. You remember he wore a shirt that said there are only 2 genders, and faced expulsion from his school. He's now taking this to appeals court. The middle school student claims that he's going to take it all the way to the Supreme Court if he has to. The oral arguments are today in Boston. This is against the town of Middleborough in Massachusetts. Alliance Defending Freedom is picking up the case. It says that they're asking the court to rule that the student's First Amendment was violated. Wants the court to stop the school from enforcing unconstitutional dress code policy. It was a simple shirt. It just says there are only 2 genders. Meanwhile, the kid sitting next to him who had a picture of Che Guevara, he's student council president, and he can keep wearing that shirt of a, mass murdering communist. But you can't have a shirt that says a scientific fact that there are only 2 genders. This is Joe Biden and Kamala Harris's America.
It is, it shows complete discrepancy in all of this.
You're right. Thank you. It's also 7:53.